What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live episode of Dynasty Theory. I'm John Bauer, find me an X at the Bauer Club. Two-man show tonight, Mitch. We got Mitch Sorensen at Dino MC. What's up, man?
What's going on? Yeah, I mean, it's time for everyone to go on vacations. I think you have one coming up. Dan's off on some weird lake that I've never heard of. I was thinking that was like in the Middle East somewhere. So, yeah, I don't know where Dan is right now.
Who knows where he is? But we do know we want to talk about some players that we're potentially looking to buy before the spike in value. Now, I mean, isn't that the case, though, with every player? It's like buy before they spike, but then it has to actually come to fruition, right?
Without it, and that's the big thing. I mean, this time of year, it's really hard because we're talking about before the show, no injuries have happened. There's no depth chart changes. There's no Instagram videos. There is nothing right now besides, hey, I like this player in this position for this reason. But the biggest thing in fantasy is we all know we buy low and we hope they get high, and you could sell them if you like them. If not, you're happy that they outproduce the value that they got them for. And so, well, we have four people we're going to talk about. There's three of them that I want to buy. There's one I definitely don't. I bet by the end of the show, you guys will be able to guess which one I don't want to buy.
Well, we're going to run through some real life trades that have taken place, over at dynastydaddy.com. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. There is pretty much brand new content coming out each and every day here at DD Fantasy Football. And then go over to ddfantasyfootball.com. Use code THEORY. Get 50% off your first month. My cross-positional tiers. We got the War Machine, the Trinity tool that has been revamped. The War Machine is on its way. But Mitch and I will be diving into a few players here on Trending Fantasy later this week. Using the Trinity tool, so it's gonna be fun. Let us know in the comments, in the live chat, which players not just so much like you're buying into because you think they give you like a Derrick Henry, you think he gives you the production,
right?
But players that specifically are still young enough that they are going to produce, and as a result, they are going to see that spike in value. And I'm not just talking about one or two spots or maintain their value. And really, isn't that like, I was thinking about this earlier today. If you would give me a list, and I meant to do this, ran out of time, of all the players from 2024 to now, or 2023 to 2024, whatever, 2-season outlook you want to take a look at, and you would say, hey, how many players really significantly rose in value versus how many dropped in value, I think it would be quite alarming, because really there's a better chance of players going to fall in value one year or the next because of the incoming rookies.
Yeah, definitely. And the guys that we're bringing up, you're thinking they're going to move up because they're not valued very highly in the first place. I mean, they're valued highly, but they're definitely not their ceilings to where you talk about a Derrick Henry. Like buying Derrick Henry, we know what you're going to get. Josh Jacobs, we know what we're going to get. Those kind of veterans, there's not going to be a lot of value change with them. But that's also why, like right now, I could come out and tell people, hey, I really think Derrick Henry's going to be good this year. And everyone's going to be like, well, yeah, we know. And so try to come up with some guys that definitely at least have been talked about on X a lot, definitely in the Discord a lot, about ones that I could just see going up in value for sure.
Jason in the chat says Bo Nix or Drake May could be first round startup picks in 2026. I don't think it's crazy. And that's the type of player we're looking at tonight, though, where they're obviously young enough. Yeah, they might have a few seasons under their belt. Really, only one player here has multiple fantasy relevant seasons that we're going to discuss tonight. But the range of outcomes, it is not for the faint of heart, right? Like Bo Nix, yeah, probably Bo Nix and Drake May, they could go out there in 2025, not have just like an absolutely monster season, but still at least maintain, right? Like you look at Kaleb Williams from last year going into 2024 to now, like, yeah, he lost value. Marvin Harrison, he lost value, but still, despite a rather subpar fantasy season, they're still there. And I think that's kind of the case with Bo Nix and Drake May, especially Bo Nix, because we saw it first season. Frank says agreed. Frank, do not worry.
No, he's not on the list.
Frank says, God help me if A-Rich makes this list. He is not going to be on this list. Don't worry. Alex, Rashee Rice is one I have a tough time deciding if I'm in or out. I really like Rashee Rice at his price.
Yeah, same. Like, I'm all about getting him at his price right now.
Geek Mill, what's up? So without further ado, we'll go into it a little bit here, talking about some of the players, pulling up the trades here. So before we get into the specific trades, actually, JJ McCarthy, quarterback 14 on Fantasy Calc, 22 years old, meniscus, missed all of 2024. How do you view JJ McCarthy? We talk about the range of outcomes of the Bo Nix, like Drake May. JJ McCarthy's kind of in that territory, but we didn't see anything obviously in 2024.
JJ McCarthy is the hardest quarterback for me this offseason to value, because what have I said for the last few years? I want good offensive line. I think he's going to have that. He has probably the best offensive mind in football with Kevin O'Connell there calling the plays. I really think he's about the best and the best there is. The Addison is a great wide receiver too. I think every team would love to have him. Jefferson is, of course, the best wide receiver in the league. Hawkinson's good. Aaron Jones does his thing. And then you have a guy who comes in from Michigan, looks pretty good, early preseason last year, has the meniscus tear. And it's just a meniscus tear. So it's not like you need to worry about like, hey, this is an ACL that needs, a lot of rehabilitation. And then I just go back to, if you put Jared Goff in that situation, how good would he be? Probably a top 5 quarterback. If you put Trevor Lawrence with the Vikings, how good would he be? I think he'd probably be pretty close to a top 5 quarterback. And so is JJ McCarthy really going to fail when we saw how good Sam Darnold was last year? We saw Nick Mullins have, a 5 or 6 game stretch that was awesome. Josh Dobbs was good for a few games. I just have so much faith in McDonald now that, I said McDonald and O'Connell, that it's.
I was gonna let it slide.
I know. I was waiting for you to, but I have so much faith in him that it makes me want to buy into JJ McCarthy, just because I don't think O'Connell's going to let him fail.
Well, yeah, and look at the weapons around him. And I know that was kind of the thing with Kaleb Williams, right? Obviously, he had that extremely high pedigree, extremely sought-after prospect. Going into a situation, hey, they have DJ Moore, they got Roma Dunze, they have Keenan Allen. Obviously, things didn't pan out, but now that coaching situation, hopefully from an offensive perspective, is rectified. But we know Kevin O'Connell, like we've seen him make these guys fantasy relevant that we really haven't seen from them before.
Yeah,
Sam Darnold, Josh Dobbs, the multiple quarterbacks here. So with JJ McCarthy and just the Vikings in general, last year they were middle of the pack in total plays and pass attempts. Is there any reason to think that comes down a little bit? I don't think so. I
don't think so. I think middle of the pack is fine with them. And that's the thing with McCarthy. It's like there's going to be a lot of comparisons to with Kaleb. There just is. But like, as much as I love that new coaching staff with Chicago, it's Ben Johnson's first time being a head coach. And yeah, maybe he is just as good as Kevin O'Connell, but I can't say that for sure. But I have such a hard time not buying into JJ McCarthy right now at his price. And you look at the guys that you have above him in your tiers, like just go to the very next. You have Stroud, Nix, May. I think out of all 3 of those guys, JJ McCarthy's probably in the best spot for the upcoming season, with the best talent around him, offensive line, coaching staff, just everything as a whole. So I could easily see him being above all those guys, and everyone knows how much I love Drake May.
It wouldn't surprise me. Like, we talk about the probable and possible range of outcomes. I don't even want to say it's just possible, because that's like, okay, yeah, it could happen. But there's a real shot that JJ McCarthy has a higher startup ADP, higher market value this time next year compared to CJ Stroud, Bo Nix, and Drake May. Now, this is something I talked about when you were gone on Trending Fantasy talking about some market inefficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're able to move off of a Drake May for a decent plus and get JJ McCarthy, I still think that's possible. Over a round of separation and startup ADP, and then within the position on Fantasy Calc, Drake May quarterback 8, JJ McCarthy quarterback 14. So we talk about the volume. I don't think they're going to put JJ McCarthy in a situation like I don't think O'Connell's going to neuter him essentially.
No,
like I don't think they're going to put the training wheels on and hey, like you have weapons in that offense.
That's it. Yeah.
You have obviously Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, you have Jordan Addison, you have hopefully what can be a solid run game. If Aaron Jones stays healthy, but then they also have Jordan Mason, who I think a lot of people have jumped the shark on him a little bit, even though I like Jordan Mason. Right. But they're in a nice situation. I don't think it's going to be that run. Yeah. And with Sam Darnold, 8th in net yards gained per pass attempt. I mean, I think JJ McCarthy's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. Have we seen it all, at this level? No, obviously. But we are projecting a little bit, and I think JJ McCarthy ultimately ends up putting himself in that top 10 quarterback conversation for dynasty purposes. Like, let's say Justin Herbert goes out and has the same season he had this past year. Like, it was okay, but JJ McCarthy comes out and puts up top 10 numbers. He's going to leapfrog him.
Oh yeah, he'll be. Right now, we're kind of looking for that 7th quarterback. We have the 6th that we really like with Jalen Hurts. And then it's like Justin Herbert is there. Kaleb Williams is there. But it's really because there's no one else to kind of put there that we really like. And so I think there's a strong chance that McCarthy could get there, that May can get there. But this isn't the conversation that we were having 3 months ago. So that's why I'm saying this could be a very good time to buy him before that spike does happen.
So right now I have him in my cross positional tiers 27 through 39 overall. Mm-hmm. And JJ McCarthy, I have him tiered with the 102. If you still have some super flex rookie drafts taking place, and then I have 11 quarterbacks tiered above him. And there's a few that I have tiered with him, but let's rattle through some trades here. Again, if you're watching back, drop some of your thoughts in the comments. If you're watching live, hit us up with some of these trades here. Mitch, JJ McCarthy for the 105, 12 teams, start 11, full PPR.
JJ McCarthy for me.
Does that change at all? Let's move the goalpost a little bit here.
If I have 4 quarterbacks and he's my 4th quarterback.
if you have 4 quarterbacks, he's your 4th quarterback, and the league does not value quarterback.
I'd make him kick me the 205 as well.
Okay. Otherwise, I mean, in a bubble, it's JJ McCarthy. I mean, again, I'm trying to move that goalpost as far as possible to try to kind of put you in that situation where it's like, okay, maybe. Okay. Oh gosh. Anthony Richardson's involved in this one. Frank, earmuffs here. Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, and Trevor Lawrence or JJ McCarthy. 12 teams, start 11. Super fun.
JJ McCarthy at this point.
Okay.
Is that where you're at on this one too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that one's tough because it's how much do you buy into Trevor Lawrence right now and Travis Hunter being there and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence, he's still a quarterback that his value right now, I think it's fair. Mm-hmm. I think he is obviously garnering a little bit more hype. You have the coaching change. You have, more weapons at his disposal, but it's still buying into what we see as a better situation. And still, it's not strictly the situation with JJ McCarthy. It's us buying into the talent as well. And you didn't have the volume that you would have liked to have seen at Michigan, mm-hmm. but what we saw, I think was plenty good enough.
Yeah, the thing was,
really quick, I think it tells you a lot about how this coaching staff looks at JJ McCarthy. Obviously there's other things that go on behind the scenes that we don't know, but the fact that they at least seemingly didn't seriously consider bringing in Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and they let Sam Darnold walk after Sam Darnold had that great year. And then everything that Michigan asked JJ McCarthy to do, he did it, and he did it well. And so I'm not going to hold it against him that he didn't go out, and throw for 5,000 yards a season, because they just didn't ask him to do it, and he won a national championship. So there is no chance that I'm going to be like, whoa, he didn't do a lot at Michigan. That's just how they played, man.
I see our man Haller. Those are two very good looking fellas. I mean, that's because I'm wearing the makeup, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I had somebody in a league chat say, I'm convinced you wear makeup.
No. Actually, he said Mitch's co-host does. Maybe he was talking about Dan. I just think you immediately thought it was about you.
No, he clarified.
Oh, okay. My bad. I didn't.
So I said I need to go upstairs, grab one of the baby wipes, and wipe my face live on the air here to prove to the world once and for all. There's no, as he phrased it, man makeup. Anyway, a lot of pieces going on in this one. Emeka Egbuka, JJ McCarthy, and a pair of 26 seconds for Christian McCaffrey and Puka Nacua. 12 teams, start 11, full PPR.
Do you know who's very easy to trade for right now? Christian McCaffrey. He's so easy to trade for.
And comparatively speaking, like what you get from him, I think Puka as well.
Yeah. Oh, it's true. It's very true. This one, I am going to be on the vet side. I'm going to go with Puka and McCaffrey just because I think Puka's going to go ballistic this year. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, if you're breaking down this trade, I think you could look at it. Puka for McCarthy
and the 2 seconds.
That's kind of how I was going to frame it, and maybe even a little bit more. And then McCaffrey and Egbuka, Now I know there's a lot of people that are going to say anything involving Christian McCaffrey. Like, there's a lot of people still out on him.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
and that's okay. That's okay. The plumber here. Always appreciate the fantasy plumber dropping, I think, every live chat. Same with Frank as well. But he says it's pretty rare to see a QB trade with no QB coming back. Agree, and have to believe that this is a potential move where you're recalibrating and restructuring the way that your roster is built.
Yep.
I was going to say restructuring the way your roster is structured or constructed, but I was like, that's a lot of structuring.
I'm very interested on this next trade because I could see the players right now, and I'm like, there has to be more. Okay, there was more. Okay. That 27 first, I'm like, that's not adding up to me, but now it is.
All right. Xavier Worthy, Kaleb Williams, 26 first and 27 first for JJ McCarthy, Jalen Lane, obviously the cornerstone piece that this trade is built around, and Justin Jefferson, 12 team start 11 full PPR.
Jefferson.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I have to believe it's a situation where the team moving Jefferson, again, trying to remedy things here in June. Hey, I want to kickstart a rebuild. I'm bringing in this youth. I'm bringing not to say JJ McCarthy and Justin Jefferson are old by any means, but splitting up the assets, getting these usable pieces in Worthy and Williams, and then getting the additional draft picks that you can use to maneuver around and get additional leverage there. All right, let's get through one more here. And you wanted to do more than 4 players.
I know. I should have known better.
I
just didn't want to be all the players I brought up. I wanted you to have to bring something to the table today.
No, I like the list.
Oh, okay. That's good.
I thought it was a good list.
All right. Good.
It's the last one. Devon Achane for JJ McCarthy, 12 team start 11 full PPR.
See, Devon Achane, he's just a guy that I can't quit. He had almost 280 touches last season. He's awesome. I'm going Achane.
I am as well. And
we'll talk about it with the next player a little bit with running backs as well.
But I think you could get a little something kicked back there if you're moving Achane. But again, like there are people that want nothing to do with I have Devon Achane and Green on the sheets because based on his current market, I think he is a player that that we should be looking to buy because he presents such a high ceiling. I know he's smaller. I know a lot of people have the durability concerns, but when he's on the field, when Tua is on the field, it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
So I'll take Achane there. League dynamic could change it a little bit for me. There are some leagues we all know. We all are in leagues where quarterbacks are unattainable, like the plumber said, unless there's a trade involving a quarterback on both sides. But like a net positive in terms of the number of quarterbacks that you're rostering, sometimes it's challenging to get that done.
It is.
All right, just looking at some of the comments. All right, so our next player, Kaleb Johnson.
Yeah.
He is a player that I was high on pre-draft, still high on post-draft, but the way the rest of the rookie draft shaped up and the way I maneuvered around rookie drafts, and I was tearing up, moving out, trading back, whatever the case may be, I didn't land a lot of Kaleb Johnson.
I have a ton. I have so much.
Let me see here. So Kaleb Johnson, obviously coming to Pittsburgh, had a fantastic 2024. Steelers last year, 10th in total plays. If you would have just said, John,
I know,
where did they finish in total plays last year? I would not have guessed top 10.
Everyone kills Arthur Smith, man, but he is like a very good offensive coordinator. He's a terrible head coach, but offensive coordinator, he is very good.
He does genuinely. He seems to get the most out of his players, but that's not always great for fantasy.
It's true.
Because he's using these players in certain ways that don't always benefit us, and that should be these coordinators and these coaches first and foremost. Their thought should be, how can we benefit fantasy football players? And I swear Arthur Smith is one of those guys that's like, I'm going to do things just to F with everyone.
Yep. Oh, I'm sure he does.
So 10th in total plays, 4th in rushing attempts, but only 14 rushing touchdowns. If you do the breakdown and you take the rushing touchdown rate, I think it was one of the lowest in the NFL.
Yep.
And a lot of that is because of the lack of ability to get down to that area. I have 16 running backs ahead of Kaleb Johnson in that 62 to 82 overall tier in 12-team Superflex tight end premium formats. And then he's running back 19 on Fantasy Calc right now. I know you like Kaleb Johnson a lot pre-draft throughout that whole process.
Yes, sir.
You have a lot of him, obviously, that stuck throughout the rookie draft process. But how are you viewing him right now, especially at his price?
So the biggest thing is just Aaron Rodgers coming in. And we are very fickle when it comes to Dynasty. Like if we see a good 1 to 2 week sample. So I'm comparing him. Look at him and Quinshon Judkins, right? Judkins is getting picked first every single time. He has better draft capital. And so he went one full round ahead of what Kaleb Johnson did. And so he's going ahead, right? But then you take a step back and look at the teams. Like, I still think the Browns offense is probably going to be one of the worst in the league next season. Like, I just don't see it being good with that quarterback situation. And then you look at Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers, is he good? No, but he brings at least an average offense to the table now. And then I look at Kaleb Johnson. I compare him to Najee Harris last year. Najee Harris had pretty much 300 touches for 1,400 yards and, 6 touchdowns. And that offense is going to be better. I think Kaleb Johnson is better than Najee Harris. And so if you just add just a little bit on top of that, that is a fantastic rookie season. And so for that reason, I think there's a strong chance that he ends up being, one of the top 3 rookie running backs this upcoming season and not the 5th or 6th, like he's kind of being drafted and valued as right now.
I lied. Kaleb Johnson is my 4th most rostered rookie running back.
Oh, see, yeah, it's not bad. And outside of RJ Harvey, he's like well above the other first round guys.
Yeah, Woody Marks, I 30.
I got a little excessive there with him and Brashad Smith, but
Well, I was getting him in the 4th in a lot of drafts. I
know.
Yeah, don't ever criticize my.
I wasn't. I was just just making a point.
Yeah, but RJ Harvey, Kaleb Johnson, and then you go down and down and down. Quinshon 9, Henderson 7. Hampton 6, Genty 5. So it's a pretty good mix, I would say. Not oversaturating any specific running back there. But this is a player in Kaleb Johnson where I do think him and Jaylen Warren, they can provide a nice 1-2 punch. But again, how effective and efficient can this offense be? And we all see how people felt about Najee Harris last year. We all saw. Everybody was just basically calling for his head, wanting Jaylen Warren to take over and take over and take over. And this is a team, this is a coach that, you know, they still were willing to give Najee the ball. They trusted him. And let's hope that the Mike Tomlin coach speak that recently came out, that comes to fruition and Kaleb Johnson is heavily involved and he gets some work in the passing game, because obviously that's going to raise his floor a little bit. Looking at Frank's comment, does Kaleb have much receiving upside?
It depends. Like, does David Montgomery have receiving upside? Yes. Is that ever going to be the focal point of his game? No. That's how I look at it.
I think Kaleb, I mean, realistically, though, we haven't seen a ton of receiving upside from Quinshon up to this point. No. You know, Kaleb, the market share numbers are there for him. It's just the overall volume isn't, because he was in that Iowa offense. So the raw numbers are a little skewed.
Yeah, the one thing I was going to bring up with running backs, I completely forgot to bring it up. We don't have a lot of running backs that are worth like a mid-first and above. We have like 8 that are kind of there. We have like Gibbs and Genty and, you know, Bijan that are way above a mid-first. And then it's like, well, are you going to trade a mid-first for Saquon? And I mean, there's teams that are willing to do it. There's going to be teams that aren't. Same thing, you know, for like the Breece Halls, Bucky Irvings, whatever. It's just hard because there just aren't that many running backs. So I think once you see these guys actually hit, these young guys hit, I think we're going to see those values jump up quite a bit, to be honest.
I see Frank's comment. I would try to tier up from Kaleb to Henderson. And that's kind of it's
a big jump, though. It's a really big jump.
It is a big jump, but that's something, you know, why ultimately I didn't have a ton of picks, comparatively speaking, in that range where Kaleb was going compared to that range of Henderson, Judkins, like that area.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. All right, some Kaleb Johnson trades. Let's pull this up on my screen here. Zoom in a little bit. All right. Oh my God, skipping that one. I don't.
Those trades happen, man. It's the weirdest thing, but they go through.
All right, here we go. Kaleb Johnson, Emeka Egbuka, and a 26th third for Travion Henderson and Terry McLaurin. 12 teams, start 10 full PPR.
Yeah, this one for me is still Travion, and it's really because Terry is outstanding. He could easily be top 10 again this season. And so it's hard for me to do that and not knowing when Emeka is really going to be able to take off.
Yeah. You know, and there's Henderson conversation going on in the live chat right now. Again, we're live every Monday, 9:00 Eastern. Jump in because the chat is always absolutely fantastic. Really drives a lot of the show for us, which I love.
It does. It's huge.
Which I love. Yeah. Makes it easier for us. But Jamal says, I feel people will panic when they see Stevenson getting 10 plus touches a week. And maybe we see a little more involvement from Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson in Cleveland than Quinshon Judkins managers would like. With Amari and Hampton, I love Amari and Hampton. He's probably running back 2 in this class. But do we get the passing upside, the receiving upside there from an offense that, you know, last year they didn't throw to the running back all that much?
No.
Is that going to change this year?
Ashton Genty is like the only running back that came in this year that you're like, hey, he's going to get all the rush work, all the pass work. None of these other guys are in that situation. So
and we love RJ Harvey, but Dobbins is still going to be involved.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Then Henderson's durability, that's one thing. Okay. So I would go Travion Henderson here.
Yeah.
Does this change for you at all if you're like, I got to gut this team?
No, because I think I could probably piece out Travion. Well, yeah, no, it's still not enough for me. I think I could be able to get more for Travion and Terry. Maybe if you change that third to a second.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And I think that could still get done in a lot of spots.
Skip that next one. That one's crazy.
There's a lot going on there. That's a fun one, though.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Holy crap. For anyone listening on the podcast feed, both John and I read this at the exact same time. Kaleb Johnson for Brock Purdy. There's time. So we tried not to look at these to begin with so we could all give our rapid reactions. And it's some of the times you see these trades, you're like, how is that possible?
Yes. And this speaks to, I think it was Frank in the chat that said it, but Brock Purdy, one of his players that are, he's targeting this offseason as a player that could spike in value. The only pushback there with Brock Purdy, I still think it's just people being draft capital snobs.
100%.
It's still in the back of their head, but I completely agree with you. I want to look at my rostership whenever I have a moment here with Brock Purdy, but I think he's one of my most rostered top 15 or so quarterbacks when you look at dynasty value. But just from a market perspective, that's always in the back of people's minds. And I think it limits his market, but go try to trade for Brock Purdy in a lot of spots. But this one, it's not even close. I can't make an argument. It's Brock Purdy over Kaleb Johnson. Now, for the sake of this conversation, I know this is just we'll go with Kaleb Johnson here.
Okay.
Kaleb Johnson or Dak Prescott?
Dak.
And we'll say +6, -2 scoring.
Right.
So we're all on the same page.
You'd have to do like the Bryce Young tier for me, I think. That would be kind of where my tipping point would be.
And that's where I have them tiered. So I'm perfect with that.
That's usually how you are, to be honest.
And then we get to Justin Fields, the next tier. I'll take Kaleb Johnson over Fields. Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Okay. Josh Jacobs.
Oh, that one's fun. See, that's a good, hey, I'm really contending or a rebuild. This is like you get a slice, 4 years off a running back and one that we like coming in. So I like that move for both sides, to be honest. If you're contending, give me Josh Jacobs. If I'm in any sort of mid-team to rebuild, I'll take Kaleb.
I would take Josh Jacobs, I think, in any situation.
And he's even in a rebuild.
Because I
just don't know if you're going to get that for him.
I think I could. Really, honestly, it's not a trade I would love. Like, maybe I exhausted all other options,
right?
But we're still here,
and that's June. What you ended up with, yeah. And I said that in the Discord. There was a trade. I do not even remember what it was because of how many we look at each day. But it was one that I said like the trade's fine, but I see absolutely no point in making the trade right now. Like I just don't think you really have to do it at this point.
Here, I think this one. Well, oh my gosh, Kaleb Johnson and Bryce Young for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I'll go Mahomes.
This one's interesting, and it kind of leads us into our next player, Jameson Williams. But Kaleb Johnson, and this is the last one we'll do for Kaleb. Kaleb Johnson for Marshawn Lloyd, Jameson Williams, and a 26th third, 12-team start 10.
I'm going to go Kaleb here. Kaleb.
Does a 26-second shift it for you?
It does. Yep, it flips it.
What if it was Jameson and just Jameson and a 26-second?
Yeah, that's fine. Marshawn Lloyd's a guy that I kind of like to have on my teams, but he isn't. He's not going to till a trade one way or the other for me, to be honest.
Give me the young running back there as that trade was. So, like I said, moving over to Jameson Williams, that trade was the perfect segue. Wide receiver 26 on Fantasy Calc, 24 years old, going into his 4th season. Obviously, injuries, the gambling. Free agent after 2026. They already exercised the 5th-year option. The Detroit Lions offense. Now, obviously, like you look at Kaleb Johnson, rookie coming in, unknown. But the OC is the same. Another but. Quarterback that might actually be productive. We'll see. JJ McCarthy, second-year player, didn't play as a rookie, coming off an injury, but steps into a kind of a known situation, right? Mm-hmm. There aren't too many variables there that we can't account for right now. Jameson Williams, you take Ben Johnson away, and we're going to see, we're going to know very early in the season,
yes,
how much of that offense was a result of Ben Johnson, and if we can expect things to shift or not. Jameson Williams, not that Kaleb Johnson and JJ McCarthy don't have that wide range of outcomes, but Jameson Williams is one of those veterans now where it's a really wide range of outcomes. Like, there is a world where he elevates himself up to a top 15 dynasty receiver. Yes. There's a world where he drops down to wide receiver 40.
Yeah. No, I fully agree.
Scheme, does it remain the same? Do first read options remain the same? Do they look to move through the same ways that they did last year? So they were tied for the most offensive plays in 2024 with the Browns. Tied for 16th in pass attempts. You love Detroit. Do you think we see a shift in that philosophy at all?
So here's the thing that I think you have to attack first. The offensive line's going to be worse. Kevin Zeitler is gone. They're replacing him with a rookie. Well, pretty much a rookie. Frank Ragnow just retired. They're replacing him with a rookie. And so, like, this offensive line is not going to be as good as it was in previous years. And what does that do to Jared Goff? Does that make it so the running game isn't as potent as what it was? Because they had one of the best running games in the leagues the last 2 years. Maybe that's just worse, and maybe Jared Goff has to throw more because of it. And so I think there's a lot of factors that go into it to where I could see Jameson Williams having a better year this upcoming season. And it's not because the Detroit Lions are all of a sudden better. Maybe that offense is just a little bit worse. They have to come with points in different ways. And Jamo can give you points anytime. I mean, he could. Do you not like Jamo?
I mean, if I say it, I say Jamo.
Oh, well, I say Jamo. Yeah, it's just what I do. It's my Utah. You always blame your accent. That's my Utah accent.
You saw my face, really? Is that why you?
Oh, I saw like you were immediately like, what in the hell is he talking about? Like, in my head, which I get because he calls himself Waymo for Waymo targets and Waymo everything else. So like JMO does make more sense. But anywho, like so there was a lot of talk about him going all the way back to February on X when the underdog stuff started kicking off. And I think right now he's at a point to where he's valued where he should be. But he is still the guy with the draft pedigree, with everything else going for him, to where I think he could take off. But I wanted to ask you this question. Is there still too many mouths to feed in that offense for him to really take off without an injury?
In my
his value to really gain as much as what some would be hoping?
If I'm looking at it from a probability standpoint, and I gave that range, he could be wide receiver 15 for Dynasty in a year. He could be wide receiver 40. I think it's more likely he's closer to wide receiver 40. I currently think he is, out of the players we've talked about so far, JJ McCarthy, for the most part, I think he's accurately valued. And we saw some of those trades. There still is an opportunity to acquire him, depending on, because like quarterbacks, they're so divisive in general. League to league, it's just such a drastic change, and knowing your league submarket. Kaleb Johnson, honey, grab my jamos. It's time for bed.
I hate you all.
I mean, Austin, Trenton, like, come on.
Hey, I already admit I probably said it wrong. I will change my ways.
I'm just saying, and I butcher every name. What was the Pearsall?
Mm-hmm. There's another tight end that you can't say his name either. I don't remember who it is at this point though.
Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember this. Anyway, where was I? So Kaleb Johnson, I think he's fairly accurately valued.
Right.
Obviously, we still see from time to time that that's not the case, but I think Jameson Williams, he's a little bit overvalued.
Overvalued right now.
Overvalued. Ignoring market, which is really hard for me because that's where
just completely ignore the market.
That's where the market inefficiencies and the value comes from playing those margins. I prefer Jalen Waddle. I prefer George Pickens. I prefer Chris Olave. I prefer Jordan Addison. And they're all lower than him on Fantasy Comp right now.
No, that's a very good point.
So I would be surprised. Again, like Mitch said, when we go through these trades, we've tried to pull the most recent trades and give an honest and instant reaction, not really prepping for them all that much if we can help it. So going through some of these trades here.
Here's did you know Ricky Pearsall and Jameson Williams are the same age?
Okay.
I know that because of your tiers, because I just looked at it.
There you go. And RJ Harvey is 34 years old.
Exactly. Going on 45.
He's an old soul.
Oh, see, I love this first trade. That is so much fun. I am personally taking Jameson Williams.
All right. So the trade, if you're listening on the podcast feed, it's Jameson Williams for Xavier Worthy. Mm-hmm. I'm going to lean into Xavier Worthy here. I prefer him.
Only reason why I don't is because I see Rashee Rice coming back, and I think he makes such a difference. I mean, Xavier Worthy was very, very hard to play all season. Jameson Williams at least gave you games. I mean, Xavier Worthy really didn't come on till late. I know it definitely took a while for Mahomes and him to get on the same page. We definitely saw that with Goff and Jameson to start the career. It's just as the Detroit guy, I can't not take Jameson here.
I get it. I think the folks in the chat agree with you here, at least the ones I've read. Nick says, in both boomer bust type players. Yeah. And it's funny because you think Jameson Williams, you think those boom games, right? Mm-hmm. And you think big play potential. And yes, that's true. But his ADOT, and I say was only 11.9 last year.
Yeah.
Like you would think it, again, you tell me the Steelers had, they were top 10 in plays last year. If you would have set an over under on JMO's average depth of target, I would have said over 11.9. And I think that was like in the 30th range, like top 30, top 35, somewhere in there. But 2.26 yards per route run, 23% first read percentage. That's going to be the interesting thing here, because how does that split work between Amon-Ra St. Brown? A lot of questions in the Discord community. Hey, is there any concern with the cleanup in his leg? I don't think there is, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, the running game. I just, but then you could look at Xavier Worthy, and if Rashee Rice is there, Travis Kelce's there, you mix in Hollywood Brown.
I was just going to say Hollywood Brown's like the forgotten guy there who's like a very good wide receiver.
Oh, thank you. Here's Randy, Nick, Austin. Thank you. We get some support on the Worthy side, but I will asterisk caveat. I always like to hedge a little bit. They're all players that can I get off of them for flexibility in the future? Give me like
it's kind of hard to be honest, because I'm guessing we're going to scroll through this. We're not going to see a lot of like Jameson for 26 first trades, or if we're looking up Worthy for 26 first. I just don't know how often that happens.
Well, let's see.
We'll find out. Yeah, that one's not going to work.
Too much going on there. Too much going on there. Ashton Genty or Kyler Murray and Jameson Williams, 12 teams, start 11 full PPR.
Ashton Genty by a reasonable amount.
Your quarterback situation doesn't come into play at all?
No.
Really?
Yeah. No, Genty. Yep.
And is that because you think you can attack the quarterback position in other ways?
Sure. I just think there's not a lot of running backs that walk into the league that are as good as Ashton Genty. And I would rather have that and figure out my quarterback position somewhere else. I could find Jameson points. Like we all know that with wide receivers. You could find those points without a doubt. You can't always find those points with running backs. It's just some guys are unicorns, and I think he's a unicorn.
Jameson Williams and a 27 first for Garrett Wilson and a 27 second, 12-team start 10 full PPR.
This is a smash Jameson. Like, not even, I wouldn't even look at my phone for a second before I hit that accept button.
What if?
It's the 112 and the 201.
Essentially, that's what I'm getting at. Because we know we are all so good at projecting picks 2 years out, right?
With the 27 first, I don't care if it's the 112. I know the values that those hold. I'm taking Jameson and the 27 first.
Yeah, I will too.
Yep.
Jameson or Tyreek and the 304, 12-team start 10 full PPR.
I honestly think now's the time to get off Tyreek. I want something more, but if this is the best I could do to get off Tyreek right now, I'll take Jameson.
Tyreek he's just one of those players that obviously because of the age, but because of the production that we know he can put up, if you invest in him, it's just kind of ride it out.
Exactly. You just
because either he produces and he does what you need him to do to help push you over the top as a contender, or he struggles and you can't do anything with him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and he's 31 now, turning 32 before next season. It's just, I don't think you're going to be able to move off of him. I really don't think you will.
Oh, Nick says Garrett Wilson. What are we talking about?
No. Not me.
I thought that was a good one. Like not that the Tyreek one, Jameson. I'll take Jameson.
They do 27 firsts are like the greatest thing ever in Dynasty right now. So I'm just, if anything has a 27 first, I almost always pick that side.
So you would take a 27 first over Josh Allen.
Over Ashton Genty.
That's what you're telling me. All right.
Exactly what I'm saying.
Garrett Wilson or Luther Burden and Jameson Williams.
Yeah, this one's Garrett Wilson without a doubt. Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have issues with PPR and we gravitate more towards half PPR as a community or points for first down. But this is no PPR. Nothing.
Kills them all.
I'll still
anyone in this trade.
I'll go Garrett Wilson there. Luther Burden, Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams.
I'll take Jameson Williams, and then let's get one more in here. Maybe this was Dan. Jameson Williams for Josh Downs and Adam Thielen.
And Jameson Williams.
Okay. All right. So we have one more trade, one more player. Sorry,
and it's good we don't have a lot of time left for this player too.
Okay. So before we talk about the player, it is a tight end.
Yes.
We put out an episode last week on trending fantasy. Go check it out. It's a quick episode, but we broke down the tight end position format to format, going from just PPR across the board to the extra half point tight end premium to a full point tight end premium, the way that things shifted from an ADP perspective, the way things shifted when comparing tight ends to the wide receiver position, and ultimately where the advantages from a flex perspective were. With this player, Brenton Strange, tight end 25 on Fantasy Calc, former second-round pick entering year 3, free agent after 2026, started 10 games last year. Like, he was okay during that stretch. He had some games where he was getting nice volume, still averaged 30 yards a game.
Yeah, so I looked it up, right? And this is the thing, is everyone's like, well, he's the starter now. Evan Ingram's gone. And I think everyone remembers he had one game with 12 targets and 11 receptions for 73 yards. I mean, other than that, he had 2 other games over 60 yards receiving all season. And he had one other game that had 5 receptions. And he had a lot of time on the field last year, and he is, he was drafted highly. This would be kind of the time that you expect him to kind of take over. But I'm seeing him moved in a lot of trades. I think if we looked up that little bubble chart, I think Brenton Strange would be there on Dynasty Daddy because He's getting moved quite a bit. I just want to be really pumping the brakes for anybody who wants to buy into him, because I think even though he is the starter, I still don't think he's going to get any volume. And you can even go back to Tampa Bay last year. Cade Otton was impossible to start until there was injuries. Then all of a sudden he had a couple of games. Then as soon as the guys came back, Cade Otton couldn't be touched again. I really think that's what's going to happen with Brenton Strange.
And if you look at the way the offense is, you could draw similarities, with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, the receiving room there in Jacksonville. You have Cade Otton, he's an okay tight end. Brenton Strange, we'll see how things shake out. But, we talk about yards per route run. He was at 1.56 last year, solid for a tight end. Here, I'm not taking too much away from this, except for the shade I'm throwing at Kyle Pitts. Brenton Strange had 5 end zone targets last year. Kyle Pitts had 6 all year. Evan Ingram was at 24% first read percentage. Brenton Strange was at 11%. But Brenton Strange giving you a little bit more after the catch. He was at 0.2 missed tackles forced per reception. Ingram, pretty much, he did not force tackles. Or he didn't force missed tackles at all. So we're talking about a tight end in the tight end 20 range. This is somebody that if you're interested, you probably can attack in larger trades. You don't need to, I wouldn't necessarily look to tear down from the known commodities at tight end. And you'll see that with one of these first trades. Oh, that's just meant, that looks good. Just on the screen.
That's beautiful. Like that.
So right here, this is what I'm talking about. David Njoku in a 26th third for Brenton Strange and Jalen Naylor. Let's pretend like so this is a 14 team start 10 full PPR, extra 0.75 tight end premium. Let's pretend it's Brenton Strange and a 26 second or David Njoku. I would still take David Njoku. So I am not advocating at all for a tear down from a producing asset, like I said, a known commodity going through. And this is Brenton Strange for a 27 fourth. I don't think in general we see that.
I take Brenton Strange there.
And that's that extra half point tight end premium. We see a 406, 407 pick swap and you get Brenton Strange.
That's a good trade.
He's an ancillary piece there.
But that's the thing. So scroll up one more up to the Trey McBride one. This is the thing this is what I'm seeing is you won't see him as the main piece in a deal, right? But right now there's a 12 team start 10, 0.5 tight end premium. It's Trey McBride or Rashee Rice and Brenton Strange. Brenton Strange is just not adding enough for me to move off Trey McBride there. It's he isn't doing anything. And I know there's a premium and hey, you have a starter at your tight end position now, but that's not doing anything for me.
Yeah, again, I like Rashee Rice as a dynasty asset, but Trey McBride is truly giving you that difference making, upside. Dan, what a jag. Can CeeDee Lamb be the wide receiver 1 overall after meeting me? So I don't know if anybody followed in the chat, but our third co-host here, Dan, he was at, what was it, Dan? The Fanatics Fest or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we're getting, our text messages are just getting blown up and Dan's sending us all the pictures and all the people he met. And again, I am shocked that CeeDee Lamb does not have some type of restraining order against Dan.
Yeah.
And John Cena too.
Yes. Yeah, without a doubt.
So can CeeDee Lamb be the wide receiver 1 overall after meeting Dan?
He will be at least as good as Nico Collins. I'm willing to say that.
Oh man, we'll see if Dan gives some of that magic there. But yeah, so you can see through these trades. I'm just kind of scrolling, but he's part of larger trades.
See, here's the thing, Fantasy Plumber. If you go back to last week's show and you watch what we talked about on trending, he is, I would say, in 0.5 McBride is more valuable than he is in 1.0 tight end premium, or some people call it 2.0. It's the very elite tight ends. They produce so much better in the 0.5 than the other ones do. So I think he's even more valuable in that than he is in the other leagues.
So last year, tight end 1 was the equivalent of wide receiver 2 on a per game basis when you get the extra point for tight ends. So PPR for wide receivers, 2 PPR for tight ends. Very similar in 1.5. It was this equivalent of wide receiver 3. Yeah. So you see more of that shift. So tight end 6 in 2 PPR was wide receiver 9. Tight end 6 in 1.5 PPR was wide receiver 20. So there is more of that gap within the position.
I could totally see that happening.
Trenton says,
sign this.
Lamb just minding his business and Dan throws a flag at him. Oh my gosh. I could 100% see it. But Brenton Strange, Mitch, it's a fun name to bring up because he is getting that kind of hype around, well, now he's going to be the starter. But again, we talk about it, tight ends in that range. What does that truly mean?
Exactly. And I tried to pull a different tight end, but there's no, you could talk about the rookies without a doubt. Didn't really want to bring up another rookie when I brought up a rookie running back. And then there's really Jake Ferguson. I mean, there's just no hype around anybody. So I tried to find a tight end that I've actually seen getting moved in trades recently.
Yeah. All right. Well, if Mitch's calculation is correct, this is episode 296. So for the 296th time, Mitch, final thoughts. What do you got for our listeners?
It's a tough time of year, but like we've kind of seen in the chat a little bit, there are more and more. I don't know why people are coming back right now, but like I'm getting offers constantly, and I'm not entirely sure why. I'm thinking there's startups going on, and people are like, well, hey, in this league, I want to go attack that player. So now is just a great time to go. Everyone kind of makes fun of me for this because they're like, hey, I don't look at my lineups until September. I'm like, I look at my lineups in February, and I definitely look at them in June. So the earlier I could kind of get my lineup set and I kind of know what my team looks like, the happier I am going into August and September. So this time of year, late June, I'm definitely trying to solidify those spots right now.
Yeah. It is kind of a slowish time. The first wave of rookie drafts, the main wave of rookie drafts has passed. I know some people, they like to wait a little bit later. I had somebody in the Discord message me and they're like, hey, JB, on the tiers, can we get the rookie page back up? Because I removed it just because like I try to declutter a little bit. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'll throw it back up. Not a problem. And it's like, people still do have rookie drafts. I still have one, and that's only because the commissioner has not filled orphans yet. So we'll see. No, actually two leagues. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see. Theo Johnson's my favorite tight end this year.
Yeah, he's another good one.
Dan talked about him last week during the startup episode.
Yep.
1 month away from episode 300. Yeah. 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Will I be on vacation for that one? No, I will not be on vacation yet. And then how about Ingram? He did post that Joker on social media. I love Ingram this year.
Oh, I'm all about buying into him.
You know, and he gives that veteran option that is not all that expensive.
You even traded him to me, which I was shocked. I didn't think that was going to happen, but you had 40 tight ends that league, so it worked out. Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that one last week, I think.
It was last week.
Yeah. Anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed this week's episode of Dynasty Theory with Mitch and I holding down the fort. Again, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We would greatly appreciate it. Next week, I'm just going to start begging people, I think. But for Mitch Sorensen, I'm John Bauer. We'll catch everybody next week. Peace.